The costumes. That's
Aren't
what
they
I
incredible?
Wear. Yeah, tell me about the outfits and what you like. I mean, that's what I wear.
Elasticated, everything. Stretchy, make it comfy. I'm gonna be in that for like 28 days, so let's make it cozy. Also, no teenager wears like skin and drains and crop tops in their bedroom. Like, I definitely just rip off that bra and like, I don't even wear one anymore.
To me, it's a story that's like, it's about a lot more than one incident. I think I felt very much that I didn't have access to stories about people in Mandy's situation that were told from the inside without sort of like romanticizing or dramatizing or sensationalizing what actually happens in sort of the day-to-day experience. And so to me, I think it was really important to dignify the heroism of people who make choices that aren't movie choices, you know, that are like to go on with your life, to get up out of bed every day, to make small like acts of heroism and defiance by just moving forward through the world and in your own space.
I'd never read a script like it, and I think when I was doing, Pippa's very incredible director, and so if I didn't feel comfortable saying a line or if it didn't sit in my mouth well, she would be like, let's talk about it, let's talk about why that isn't, and like offer something into the space. But it was almost like if I started to improvise, I would drown. So I would describe like Pippa as like a buoyancy aid, like just cling on to that script because it's so well researched and thought out that everything, like, you have to watch the movie like a million times and then you still won't understand the layer and detail that she puts into it. And I think that like, I've never seen a teenage girl in a film like that. I've never seen it. And I feel like when I'm doing it, I'm not playing myself because I'm not as strong as she is. So basically I would be on the floor just crying all the time.
I was really lucky to be supported by a lot of people who I think really believed in the film and each other. I think it was like a very collaborative space. I mean, yeah, there were people who would like, you know, you're lip-syncing the drama, we want to see this, we want to see that. And then, but you know, I had a number of good, especially at the Sundance Labs actually, a number of good advisors who were like, you know what we think is most interesting about your script is that it's from her point of view. And like, you know, for example, the fight between the dads. They were like, you know, I was like, Mandy wouldn't be there. Mandy's dad wouldn't get into, you know, I think most people's parents would want to protect them and separate them. They might have that fight, which he does, but they wouldn't want their teenage daughter necessarily to have to bear witness to that. And so I was like, how do I write this scene then? Is she like standing in the back of the store watching it happen? And then I was like, oh no, it's like the moments of build-up and aftermath that she would experience, and that those would be sort of the more traumatic moments, or the more interesting and rich and mysterious moments anyway, when you see this lead up, you see the tension building, and then you see the consequence of it, you know, and I think that gives you, I think people felt a lot when they were reading that, and so I didn't really feel like anyone was pushing me away from that or asking me to fill in the middle. I think they felt, you know, across the cut what was happening, so.
It was also really interesting because the costume designer, Muska.
Muska Zermati is incredible, yeah.
Genius. I wanted to collaborate with her and with also the other characters. So like in the film, my dad and I, we kind of have similar clothing items, and also Dylan and I have similar clothing items because we came up with the concept of like, Dylan and I maybe share clothes, like maybe I steal his hoodies, maybe I steal his t-shirts. So it's like, instead of us being these singular people, we're all connected. And I think costumes, it just, that green jacket is just, I have it, I stole it. I have it still in my bedroom.
I was wondering where this shit went.
Yeah, no, I still stole it. So yeah, it was incredible.
One of the reasons I loved Rhianne for this role was because like, so much of it was about like showing the heroism and dignity and real choices that, you know, like of the people in our lives who've experienced something like this, you know, or of our own experiences, like there is incredible grace and heroism and strength in being the kind of person who has those confrontations and who like, you know, is on a crusade and gets justice and is an activist and is an advocate for other people. There is incredible heroism in that, and we owe a great debt to people who bear that burden.
And also like preparing for I had a lot of prep time because of a situation with a visa that I couldn't get, which fed into the experience. Do you know about it or do you not?
How long did you wait to get a visa?
Well, I didn't get one, so
Never got
Pippa
one.
moved the film to Canada because I couldn't get a visa. And so that whole experience, I mean, it's a vanity project in a way in comparison to like actual refugees and actual asylum seekers that need their family, that need to survive. So I still have my family, and I knew that experience in a very small way, but like without people like Pippa who champion people, like she moved it to Canada weeks away from starting to shoot because of probably my heritage and probably being a brown person in trying to get into America and feeling like it's happening at you. And that kind of happened at Mandy, and that definitely fed into that role. And I couldn't occupy a state of drama all the time because no one can. You just have to make sandwiches and do some press ups. And that's basically what I did in preparation for it. And like, thanks to this legend, you know.
So Pippa, you just picked up everything, moved to Canada,
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it was a...
It sounds so easy, yeah, man.
Well, I mean, there were conversations about what that would mean budgetarily and logistically, because it was certainly nothing we'd ever, planned to do it really minimally in New York, where I'm from, and where we had like an infrastructure and a community. And then, I mean, Rhianne just had a couple of like really problematic visa interviews where they asked her about where her dad was from and whether she looked British enough.
I was told I didn't look British, which is like...
Whether she spoke Arabic.
Really interesting. As like the mayor of London looks like my dad, like a brown man. Sadiq, baby.
And I think but there was like a real clarity that everyone felt that, one, Rhianne was incredible and no one else could play this role, that there wasn't, that this was a very singular role for a very singular person. And two, that nobody should lose their job because of where their dad may or may not have been born or how people think their skin look.
Yeah.
And so I think we felt really strongly that, this was Rhianne's role, and if that meant Canada would have to give me a visa, then we would take those Canadian visas. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that worked out.
Me too.
Same, man. I mean, I'm here now. It's very crazy.
What conversation is the very layered Cher having in the Me Too moment right now?
Several years ago, when the conversation was really different. I mean, I remember, like, when we first made the show, people were like, this is so unbelievable. That people were like, this would never happen. And I was like, well, it does. Now, obviously, the climate is really different. I guess my hope would be that, it gives a lot of dignity to the people who are participating in smaller ways or other ways, that we also appreciate that there are men and women making all sorts of private choices that have just as much strength and purpose and, just as much work to do to support us as a society than, in addition to the public choices. Because I really do think that both of those things are so urgent and necessary. That's my hope.
She's so good at speaking.
I'm not
Did you have anything
quite
to
nervous.
add? Or we can...
Thing. No, I don't want to walk. I just want to listen to her.